want to preview the Baylor versus Iowa State football game, which will be played on October 28th at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN Plus. And currently the line is Iowa State's favored by 2.5 points. Of course, the line's going to change between now and then the game starts. I'm just saying that because we all know it does change during the game of the week of the game here. And I'm going to just say that I'm going to go over the team stats, obviously, and of course, to speed up the preview of this game, I'm going to just list some names to keep an eye on, and I will put the stats in the description below so y'all could see it. Just to make it shorter, and I might as well go like special teams, just those two players in particular. So, yeah, Iowa State has only averages about 23 points per game, but I will say they're playing a lot better recently. They have after that that Oklahoma loss. I will say that they allowed 5 sacks and 35 tackles for loss. They average 117.3 rushing yards per game, which the run game has been improving some, and 211.57 passing yards per game. Like, they have 5 interceptions on the year, no fumbles. So 32 for 102 on third down, which that's the area that they struggle, it seems like, and 9 for 11 on fourth down, 112 first downs. 21 pass breakups allowed and 20 quarterback hurries, like time possession 30 minutes 7 seconds. They have allowed 2 block kicks this year, and they haven't had a safety on them. So they run like a multiple offense, like they have tight ends at times. So, and wide receivers, and it's mostly the wide receivers you gotta be on alert for this game. Like the 2 deep on the offensive line, 320.5 pounds, and I want to say this: they don't have the same starting quarterback or running back from last year. Both of those are gone from the team back in the off season, so that's totally different. And so their starting quarterback is somebody new, and he isn't a scrambler. Thank goodness he's not like Emory Jones in terms of running the ball. And it's Rocco Beck, number 3, 6'1", 205-pound quarterback. That's a freshman. So their best running back for the year is Eli Sanders, number 6, 6 foot, 205-pound running back. That's a sophomore. Cartavius Norton, number 5, 5'11", 225-pound running back. That's a sophomore as well. So those 2 guys are, you gotta keep an eye on the most here and all this. Though they do have another guy that had 38 rushing attempts this year, and that's Abu Salma III. I mean, that's number 24, 5'11", 200-pound running back. That's a freshman. I'm going to just double check on the top 2 running backs on the stats real fast, so I apologize, but I just want to make sure. And if I do have to change it, I will change it for me when I put the stats in the description below. So, yep, Eli Sanders is definitely a sophomore. And as for Cartavius Norton, yep, he's a sophomore as well. So I'm just wanted to verify that real fast. The best 2 wide receivers are Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. Well, he's more like a slot guy. Jalen Noel. He's more of a slot guy, so to speak. So Higgins is number 9, 6'4", 210-pound wide receiver. That's a junior. 23 receptions for 463 yards. 430 yards with 3 touchdowns. Okay, I accidentally said the stats there, but it's all right. And Jalen Noel, number 13, 5'10", 210-pound wide receiver. That's a junior. That's definitely 2 players to keep an eye on right there. They're both above 300 yards receiving. Just to keep keep that in context to the other guys on the team. I mean, Daniel Jackson has less than 200 receiving yards, and he's number 16. 6'2", 210-pound wide receiver. That's a junior. Though they do have a tight end that is 23 yards away from, 33 yards away from 200 yards, and that's Benjamin Brahmer, number 18, 6'7", 200-pound tight end. That's a freshman. So that's mainly the main guys you gotta really key in on are those four guys. So there's Adam Bitter, number 85, 6'2", 200-pound wide receiver. That's a sophomore. And Easton Dean, number 87, 6'6", 265-pound tight end. That's a senior. And Dimitri Stanley, number 14, 6 foot, 200-pound wide receiver. That's a senior. So, though there is like two other tight ends, but y'all could see it once you see the description below. Now the defense is their strength, and they have one of the best pass defenses in the entire country. And it's the truth when you look at the numbers here. They have 14 sacks on the year, 37.5 tackles for loss. They have 12 interceptions on defense. So this is a good secondary for them. They allow 20 points per game, 131.1 rushing yards per game, 198.14 passing yards per game, 28 minutes, 53 seconds on the time possession, 35 for 103 on third down, 9 for 15 on fourth down. They allow 132 first downs up to this point, 32 pass breakups, but 50 quarterback hurries. And they have blocked the kit this year. They run a multiple defense. The average deep on the defensive line is 293.75 pounds. But if you're talking about like the defensive end or Leo position, 273.75 pounds for the two deep. But the two deep at the nose tackle and defensive tackle, 313.75 pounds. So I'm just saying that. What are some players to keep an eye on defense? Bo Frailer, number 17, 6'2", 220-pound defensive back. That's a junior. Jeremiah Cooper, number 4, 6 foot, 185-pound defensive back. That's a sophomore, and he does have 5 interceptions. So, 5 out of 12 goes to that guy right there on the stats. So beware. Miles Purchase, number 5, 5'11", 205-pound defensive back. That's a junior. Caleb Bacon, number 50, 6'3", 240-pound. Okay. Apparently, I did not list a position on for him in particular, but I will fix that as soon as possible here. He's a linebacker. Okay. So he's a linebacker right there. Okay. Then Tyler Onyedim, Onyedim, number 11, 6'4", 295-pound defensive lineman. That's a sophomore. Obviously, the best cornerback is T.J. Tampa, 6'2", 200-pound defensive back. That's a senior. Malik Verdon, number 7, 6'4", 225-pound defensive back. That's a sophomore. Ben Nickel, Nikkel, Nickel or something like that. I apologize. Number 18, 6'1", 210-pound defensive back. That's a senior. Will McLaughlin, number 23, 6'4", 230-pound linebacker. That's a sophomore. Joey Peterson, number 52, 6'4", 255-pound defensive end. That's a junior. Gary Vaughn, number 32, 5'11", 235-pound linebacker. That's a senior. Trent Jones II, number 89, 6'3", 285-pound defensive back. That's defensive end. That's a sophomore. J.R. Singleton, number 58, 6'2", 300-pound defensive lineman. That's a sophomore. Dominic Orange, number 95, 6'4" 335-pound defensive lineman. That's a sophomore. Of course, there's other guys on that I could mention, like Tayshawn James, number 19, 6'1" 200-pound defensive back. That's a freshman. And some of these guys I just listed because of they're 2 deep or in 3 deep even. So now, special teams wise, Tyler Perkins is our punter, number 80, 5'11" 215-pound punter. That's a sophomore. 39 punts for 1,754 yards. His longest 70 yards, by the way, and the average is like 44.97. 16 of those got inside the 20-yard line, and 13 of those went further than 50 yards. Then Chase Contreras, Contreras, number 19, 6'1" 195-pound kicker. That's a senior. 17 for 17 on extra points. 12 for 16 on field goals, like 2 for 2 on 20 to 29 yards, 4 for 6 on 30 to 39 yards, 4 for 6 on 40 to 49 yards, and 2 for 2 over 50 yards, which long is 56. And one of those misses on the field goal was blocked. He does have one rushing attempt for 6 yards, so I'm just pointing that out. So, across the board, limit your penalties. I mean, that's the truth in all of this. And you got to win the turnover battle. I mean, you don't want to turn the ball over. And of course, you got to force turnovers on defense, and you got to protect the ball on offense. And all that, of course, special teams wise, you got to have good punts. You got to have no blunders, like a blocked punt or a blocked field goal. You got to make your extra points. You got to make your field goals. And you get the point on that. And if you have a good kick-off return or a punt return, good. Of course, you want to fair catch the ball if you can. And if it bounces, stay away from it. And we don't want to kick the ball out of bounds either, or allow a deep kickoff return, or even a kick return touchdown, punt return touchdown, as we all know. But if you can block the punt or block a field goal without committing a penalty, do it if you can, or even extra point, because those things do happen sometimes, from time to time here. I mean, I'm just telling the truth. And here are some things like, and David Aranda did say that Baylor needs to run the football, as this could be like a difference in a game here, because Iowa State is not really like tackles for loss and sacks for the season, like 97th and 105th in the nation. And Iowa State has allowed at least 106 yards rushing per game. I mean, at least 106 yards rushing in every game. And over the last, and the 3 games in this season, and 3 of those games were like over 130 yards. So it really does help. So on defense, I'm going to start with that. You got to stop the run better. You got to tackle better. Don't get beat deep. Or don't allow easy throws. And give that freshman quarterback give him a message that you're not going to come in here and light us up. Give him a good clean hit. I'm not saying get him hurt. I'm saying send a message to the guy. And you got to get him uncomfortable. At least he's not a scrambling quarterback. That's the good news. So if we could get pressure in his face, that'd be huge. Of course, stopping the run, we need to do better regardless who it is going up to this point in the season. I'm just saying that. You got to find a way to stop the run. And I get Iowa State's not the best at running the ball, but still, you've got to stop the run and make them one-dimensional. Win first and second downs. Force turnovers. Of course, we don't want to commit penalties here. I mean, you got to have a good pass defense. Don't make it so easy for Iowa State trying to move that ball on you. And of course, I would also say you got good angles in this game, and it really would help. And Rocco Beck, by the way, he's not like a game changer at the quarterback position just yet. He has only one game that went over 241 yards passing. And 4 of those games were under 61%. So, I'm just saying. And Iowa State's only rushed over the ball for over 130 yards 3 times this year. But it's improving because in the first 4 games, 333 rushing yards with two touchdowns, with 2.89 yards per carry. But the last 3 games, 488 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns and 4.78 yards per carry. Of course, I forgot to mention this. Across the board, you got to come out with energy and try to play better at home and try to make that road, whatever you do on the road, translate it to home. Because I'm dead serious. We have a huge opportunity here to get back to 500 right here and move us up in the habitual standings. I'm just saying that. So obviously you want to shut down the best wide receiver and Jaden Higgins, but you want to also limit like Jalen Noel as well. So that's just a huge deal, and of course you don't want to get beat by the tight ends sometimes, either by linebackers. Of course, you don't want to have busted coverages. I'm just saying that. And the good news is the defense and the secondary has been the strength of the team up to this point on the defensive side of the ball. You got to have your defensive line step up. Not just in terms of the run defense, but your pass rush. And we don't have to worry about pass rush with integrity necessarily. Unless the guy proves himself to be a scrambler. And once you get close enough to him, sack him. And we had 3 sacks last game against Cincinnati. So let's do that again. If not, maybe get a little bit more. And of course, you want to be better against the run, but you get the point. Linebackers need to be better in run support at times too and get better angles. And defensive backs too. And of course, if you have a chance to get a guy behind the line of scrimmage and tackle him, do it, because that's kind of what happened on that touchdown run by Cincinnati last game. As we all know, when you look at the game, watch the game again. I'm just telling the truth. Now, offensively, we cannot sustain having over 300 yards passing and 180 yards rushing every game. That's not going to work necessarily, but I know part of the plan was to throw the ball more to set up the run. And I would try to implement what you did last game in terms of make your shorter passes into your basic run plays, like RPOs. And I like what we did last game with quarterback powers with Blake Shapen at times. It gives an extra blocker with the running back even. And we made some adjustments on the offensive line. And the offensive line needs to step up again here. And I know this is Colton Price's second game as a starter. And he's a starter at center. And we moved the Barrington brothers to left guard and right guard. We have, I don't remember exactly, but I know 2 guys came in for one particular spot, and then Gavin Byers at right tackle. Abin Aseli and somebody else. I don't remember. It's hard to keep track of every player, as we all know. But still, you gotta have your offensive line step up, not just in the pass protection, but in the run game. And of course, you need your wide receivers to step up, not just Keyshawn Jackson, but Monterey Baldwin and Josh Cameron and Marty Winfield, if he even gets to play, obviously. And you gotta have other wide receivers step up, especially in place of Hal Presley. As we all know, he's out practically the rest of the regular season here. Your tight ends need to step up. By the way, on the wide receivers, you gotta step up in the run blocking too. I'm just saying that because it does help to have rushing, some good blocking. And the tight ends need to do that as well in the blocking. And possibly pass blocking too. But for them, they need to step up and make some good catches too, because that's important. And I like that one play that we like did to give it to a tight end. The tight end was in motion, and he set up the block, and the tight end got the ball on the outside and went for the touchdown. That touchdown play. I like that play. I do. Because I know in order to open up the run more now, I think it's for the best, you got to throw the ball a little bit more. And I don't blame him for that. Of course, you got to take care of the ball and don't want to commit penalties. And please, no intentional groundings. We don't want to put ourselves in a bad position and try to kick for long field goals. They got to be better in the red zone. The same thing goes for the defense. If you could come up with a huge stop and come up with a big play on defense, like making a play like an interception or a scoop and score, and recover the ball on a fumble, do it. And the same thing goes for the offense, except you got to come up with a big catch. Or, of course, or try to make the guy miss. At times, you got to have good angles on your running, too. And your running backs need to step up as well, not just in a run game, but in a pass blocking, potentially, and even as a wide receiver at times. And we need to be better on fourth down calls, in fourth down period, if we're going to go for it. I'm just saying that, and as you could tell, if we could get above like 106 yards rushing, it would really help. And of course, Blake Shapen needs to make good decisions. In terms of throwing the ball, because I know this secondary is really good. There's only like two teams that have got over 20 points this year. And that's Oklahoma State with 27 and Oklahoma with 50 all year long. And if you're going to go look at the passing numbers as well, those two teams are the only teams that had above 250 yards passing against them. And granted, TCU was like close to 230, but you get the point. They played with a backup. But I will say this, the beginning of 3 games, they didn't play against a good offense. No offense to Iowa. No offense to the first game, but Ohio, they allowed 10 points, and they didn't have really that great of a passing game, yet they beat them. So I'm just saying that. And, of course, we don't want to allow a lot of sacks or tackles for loss on offense here. I'm just telling the truth. So, yeah. And we got to find a way to get this game if possible, because it could be a huge shift in the season if we could get this win here, because then we're back to 500 and we have a little bit of a chance to make a bowl. But I'm not worried about the bowl game right now. I'm more worried about this game, because we need to win as many games as we can and go week to week on that. You can't get too ahead of yourself, because look, there's a lot of work to be done, and we need to focus on this game right here. And I know I said we could go to a bowl game, but we got to do it one game at a time. You can't look ahead. That's the truth. And Iowa State, by the way, under Matt Campbell, they're 3-4 following a bye week. A loss to Oklahoma by 2 touchdowns, 27-13, but they beat Kansas State 33-20. Then beat Kansas State 45-0. They lost to Oklahoma 42-41. Texas Tech 40-31. They lost to Texas. They won against Texas Tech 40-31, like I said. But they lost the last 2, like 17-7 to Texas, and then 31-26 to Kansas State. So I'm just saying that, but at the same time, we don't need to rely on them playing so bad in the game and falling asleep on us. We got to go out and make plays to win this game, because you can't play the official. You can't play down to your down to the opponent if they're not playing that good. I'm just saying that. And they are 3-1 in the conference, by the way. Iowa State is. And we know we're 2-2 in a conference, 3-4 overall. but they're 4-3 overall. So, yeah, this is a opportunity here to steal a win here. You got to come out with energy and prove those doubters wrong, because I know some people are picking against us. Of course, you got to keep on fighting. Of course, you got to make less mistakes than last game and try to correct those as much as possible. And of course, continue what your strengths. And of course, we got to exploit the weaknesses for Iowa State while taking away the strengths for the whole team for Iowa State. So yeah, this is just a preview of this game, and I know it's pretty generic, but when you could look at the numbers, it does make a lot of sense. And those numbers on the stats, by the way, are like on a thread by Grayson Gruenhaver, like 10 facts you need to know about Iowa State, and it goes like down. It is a big thread. That's where some of the stat numbers I got from on this, like that record on following a bye week, and Baylor 7-3 in the last 10 meetings against Iowa State. But the last 4 have been decided by 1 possession or less. So yeah, if we could stop the run defensively a lot better than we did last game, we could. And Dave Aranda said as much. We took a step back from the last game. We did a good on lining up, but we still gave up a bunch of yards to Texas Tech. I know. But then we took a step back. We got to line up better on both sides of the ball. I mean, you got to execute better in all this. It's just the truth. And if we could stop the run and try to make them one-dimensional and try to make that freshman quarterback try to beat us through the air, you have your pass defense need to step up big time in this game. And it's been one of strengths. So, yeah, as long as we don't commit penalties, of course, that's all good right there. And like I said, you kind of have to just... And Dave Aranda is emphasizing to the players right now, we have to be better at home, and we got to start faster. He said that, point blank. So, that's what he said in the press conference even on Monday. So, I'm just telling the truth when you listen to it. So, we just need to... And their passing efficiency for Iowa State is like 11th in the country and 11th in yards per attempt, and 31st in passing yards allowed. So, and we know Blake Shapen has not thrown any interceptions at this point. He's got to have to make some good decisions. Of course, you got it on offense too. I forgot to mention, we have to be better in terms of like the closer passes over the middle, like a slants, in routes. But you get the point. We have to be better on closer passes and not just on the deep passes. And of course, you got to have your wide receivers step up in a 50-50 situation to catch the ball. And same thing goes for your tight ends, maybe even your running backs. I'm just saying that, and try to find a way to set up the run by throwing the ball a little bit more to ease them up, and then you could run the ball better. Of course, if you could run the ball a lot better in this game, that would really help, because it would put less pressure on Blake Shapen. And I know it's not very sustainable if you only have 80 rushing yards and 310 passing yards. It's not very sustainable. But if we could get that number closer to 100, or even 106 yards or 115 yards, something, that would really help. Of course, you don't want to allow that many sacks, and you got to get sacks on defense and get tackles for loss. And force turnovers, of course, you don't want to have turnovers on offense, like I said, and tackles for loss and sacks. And you got to not have like personal foul targetings. Oh no, we don't want that, or sideline warning on any of this. But you get the point. Eliminate your penalties. You got to come out with energy. Start faster on all phases of the game. And of course, your special teams needs to step up, and they did step up last week. I mean, we got a fumble recovery for a touchdown by Byron Vaughns. We got 2 good punts by, what's his name? I should know. Palmer Williams. And we got made 4 out of 4 on field goals by Isaiah Hankins. Of course, you got to be better and try to get the red zone to get touchdowns. Offense and the defense doesn't need to allow them to score as much. And of course, you want to just limit at this point because it is what it is on the tackling. We got to be better there. And I'm sure it's going to be addressed in the offseason, but I'm just saying we have to do better against the run to give ourselves a better chance in this game, because if we could take away the run and try to make them through to beat you through the air, especially on the road with a freshman quarterback, and try to rattle that guy. If you get pressure on him, take him down and don't want to get sacked. And of course, you got to mix it up and kind of make adjustments on the fly, both offensively, defensively, and even special teams. So, anyways, if you like this content, like and subscribe, and see you guys already on over 600 subscribers. Of course, the ultimate goal is to get over 1,000 so I can make money off this. Of course, liking the video, commenting the video, it really does help the YouTube algorithm so more people can see it. In addition, if you could share the video, that would be greatly appreciated too. It spreads the word and more people can see it as well. Of course, if you're watching it, thank you. I appreciate that. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you're subscribed, hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss any of these videos here. And I apologize, this video is taking a little bit longer on this, and it's going to almost hit 31.5 minutes here, or close to 32 minutes. So I just want to let y'all know on some of this stuff here going into this Iowa State game here. That's all.